Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Have you ever asked yourself this question? Why do I have to press 1 for English when they're going to just transfer me to someone I can't understand anyway? Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Call in, good morning. And a good morning to you. Thank you very much. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, on a Monday, the last Monday of July, as a matter of fact, for this year. And we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and service the key word. Stop in and see them today. Also, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Hey, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Right there. Easy to find on the Burley-Paul Highway. My goodness, they've got everything over there. All the miscellaneous tools to finish any construction project, jackhammers. They've got all the excavators. They've got it all for you at K&R Rental. And they get there early in the morning at 7 a.m. to serve you. K&R Rental in Hayburn, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast as we enter into this new work week here on Zeb at the Ranch, and it's going to be smoky today. So if you have some upper respiratory issues, please make note of that because we have wildfires burning to the north and a big fire burning to the east. We are looking at sunny skies for today, high of 93, slightly breezy winds out of the northeast, right around 8 miles an hour. Tonight that smoke's going to stick around, partly cloudy skies with a low of 58. Tomorrow it's definitely going to be hot, mostly sunny skies. They're calling for 97. Expect temperatures of triple digits or better. We're looking at a little bit of a breeze as well out of the east, right around 8 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, again, smoky, partly cloudy skies with a low of 63. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 95. By Thursday, cooling off to 93. And as we look ahead towards the weekend, looking at upper 80s, low 90s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wow. It's going to stay warm tomorrow, really warm. Drink a lot of liquids and stay out of the sunshine. Thank you, Gina. Weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, right on the Burley-Paul Highway. I urge you to call Roger and the crew for the best of rental of tools and equipment at K&R Rental, 678-3122. Oh, my goodness, have we got a full plate here today. We've got all kinds of great guests. We've got Richard Manning at 9:06. We've got Greg Walton coming on the air at 9:30. Mark Smith, author of a book called Duped about the Second Amendment. And then at 10:30, we've got Fred Birnbaum with the Idaho Freedom Foundation. And great people they are. Don't forget, too, Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And I urge you to take all your clothing in there. If it needs to be cleaned, fine, they can do it. Absolutely phenomenal. I've been taking my clothes in there for years. And I said this on the air a week ago. I've said it many times that if you don't have time to do your washing, they will at Daryl's Cleaners. They'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all of your clothes. You'd better not pass it up. Stop into Daryl's Cleaners today at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, serving you. Really, really good people. Well, today the 70th annual Minidoka County Fair kicks off. As a matter of fact, they are off and running right now this morning. And they've got all kinds of things going on. The big lawnmower races tonight and the Tiny Tot Gymkhana tomorrow, along with the PMT Charlie Jenkins concert tomorrow. And daily we're going to give you updates as to what's happening over there at your Minidoka County Fair. Building dreams at the Minidoka County Fair for 2018. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I am really, really concerned this morning that the more I listened to the news over the weekend and the more that I took notes over the weekend of what's going on, the Democrats are really embracing socialism. Now, they're going to tell you, oh, no, we're not turning into a socialist party. That's what they're going to tell you. But the media, along with the Democrats, embracing socialism. Now, some people today are not aware of what socialism really is. And they really do not know the worries and the fears. Socialism and communism / have failed in all the countries that it's been attempted. And it's been bad for the people, bad for the economy, bad for the future, and it's ended up in the garbage pile all over the world. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
May I get off the trail just a little ways?
Well, okay, quickly, go ahead.
Okay. For the first time in a long time, I heard him talking about the $20 trillion or close to it of our national debt. And I got to thinking, if you and I owed somebody $10,000 or something, they'd expect us to pay it, right?
I would assume so.
This money, too.
Yeah. Actually, our debt is probably pretty close to right now $21 trillion. And I don't see anything, and by the way, Wheels, we got a little feedback over there, buddy. I don't see any reason right now why that's going to come down. I think it's only going to go up. It doesn't make any difference who's in charge, what party is in the office. I just think that we are looking at a spiraling debt that is absolutely not curable.
But I don't understand. Like, if you and I owed money, if we didn't pay it, they'd come take our house and, take all the security that we had.
Yeah, but come on, Keith, you're not naive. This is the government you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Now I feel all warm and fuzzy.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You feel just like I do. You're bitter, and you ran a business for years in your life. I've run a business. We had to pay the bills. We had to pay the help. We had to pay our taxes. And the government absolutely is running roughshod over the supposed rules of engagement for good business.
And the Democrats are trying to put us in the tank. And this socialism thing that you did in your opening statement, that is getting out of hand, but it's always going to be these people who are already on some kind of government assistance that's going to try to further this cause, because free is good, they think, and more of it is even better.
Yeah, but wait a minute, free. There is no such thing as free. You know that, Keith. I know that. Your wife Nancy knows it. Deanne knows it. Somebody's got to take a little dip into their billfold someplace to pay for it. And when I listen to the idiocy, and this is what it is, let's just call spades spades, of Ocasio-Cortez and others on the Democratic left saying, well, I advocate free education. I advocate free Medicare. I advocate that we go to a single-payer health insurance. The money has got to come from somebody, and golly gee whiz, Keith Cottom, it's probably going to be you and me.
Well, if it ain't free and we don't have to pay it back, what is it?
It's inflation.
Oh, okay. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, okay, buddy, I got to run. Thank you for your call. You broke the ice this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right, buddy. Hey, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Ramsey Heating and Electric, my friends for a long time. Do you realize that they're going to be in business 6 decades? Holy cow. That is phenomenal, and they are your best for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and they want your air conditioner to work very efficiently. They've got all the air filters over there to make sure you stay cool. Absolutely. They have a staff of people that really care and get the job done. I urge you to give them a call or stop in. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and they're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And the number 678-0459. We were over at Lunch Bunch last week, and I just want to give kudos again to the staff of Denny's. You know, it might not mean a lot to you folks out in the audience, but unless you're there to see it, it absolutely is impressive that when we go through our prayer and our Pledge of Allegiance, and Linda Croft singing in a very beautiful voice our national anthem, all things come to a screeching halt. And many of the patrons in the other portions of Denny's, they stop, stand up, and the girls that are serving stop, and they put their hands over their heart. It is phenomenal. These are wonderful people. Great place to eat at America's Diner. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we are very proud to be there. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
I'm not sure what happened with the phone line, sir, but I'm hoping they call back in.
Oh, we lost them. The lost shall be found if they call back. Quickly, call me back at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Now, I want to bring this to your attention because it can't be helped because of the tight time constraints on the radio. We're going to be mingling a lot of advertising with all the various fairs, so you're going to have to bear with us, okay, and kind of keep track, run a scorecard, and remember who we're talking about. Well, coming up in a couple of weeks, don't forget the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. And some of the merchants that urge you to be a part of the Cassia County Fair this year are AMI, 719 Overland and Burley. Look for the big 28-foot wrench over the door and go nuts over their bolts. They are really good people at AMI. Butte Irrigation, 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul, and the location on Kimberly Road, north of Kimberly by Red Cap Corner. Boy, I'm telling you, they've got all your irrigation needs. They will get you wet at Butte Irrigation. And Mountain Transmission, 1146 East Main in Burley, across the street from Stoats Equipment. I'm telling you, Rick and the crew, they really can help you. Your one-stop transmission repair facility, Mountain Transmission in Burley. Really good people. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, why are the Democrats depending on socialism? Saying, and it was so humorous this morning on the television, some of the Democrats that were interviewed said, oh, no, we're not advocating socialism. No, we're advocating various forms of socialism that we think would be best for not only the public, but also financially. Like free education, like free Medicare, And the raising, some are even talking now that $15 an hour for a minimum wage job isn't enough, so they want to go to $20 an hour. Holy moly. And, of course, single-payer health insurance. Now, I'm just going to say it. If you want to arbitrate, you call and arbitrate with me. Single-payer health insurance will ruin insurance in this country forever. It will destroy health insurance in this country forever. It will create a death funding, if you will, where only those chosen will get the best of care and the surgeries, medicine, etc. Single-payer health insurance is a death knell to the United States. I absolutely will stand behind those words. But the Democrats are so doggone weird about this. Oh, no, we're not advocating socialism. We're advocating certain aspects of socialism. Chew that over for a few minutes. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Is that me?
I hope so, buddy. We're talking to you. Go ahead.
Today we're having at Senior Junction on South Overland, we're having spaghetti with yummy meat sauce. And you didn't know the meat sauce could be yummy, but it is. And tomorrow is roasted chicken.
And a yummy dessert, I'm sure.
Yes, all the trimmings. We need people to come out and enjoy the best lunch value in town.
You know, Joe, I tell you what, you're a great cheerleader and a good guy for calling about the senior center, and I wish you a lot of luck, and I hope a lot of people turn out for lunch.
All right, thank you.
God bless you.
You and your show.
Thank you, sir. Good man, good friend, Joe Taylor. I think the world of him. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What's this? We are at a 4.1% GNP, growing. Maybe what the Trump administration and the Donald himself said is working. Evidently. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Don't forget Dino Septic Service. And when you talk about septic problems or septic tanks and drain fields installed, septic tanks pumped, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, septic inspections, liquid waste removal, one name stands out as the name you need to call for fast, fair, friendly service. And that's Dino Septic Service, 436-6526. Or in Burley, 678-1638. They've got that truck named Smells Cargo on the way, and they are on the way to serving you. Dino's Septic Service. You get a hold of them today. Also want to acknowledge some really good friends of mine, and I've got to, and I mean this, we've got to take the time to take care of ourselves, because really, without health and without trying to maintain a level of consistency, wow, things go in the bucket pretty fast. And so I've got to get back over to see Nick Greenwell and the other great physical therapists at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I need to make an appointment today at 678-1191. You do too. If you're recovering from an accident or surgery, whatever, they can and they will help you. Excellent people that know what to do to help you get back to being you. With that hydrotherapy pool, the best. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The left is going bonkers, and the Democrats are absolutely trying to take a hatchet and destroy anything good that this administration is doing. Now, Trump's plans for the economy are working, and the left will not give him and his administration any credit whatsoever. And it almost seems to me, and I'd like your opinion on this, please give me a call, that the left is so hell-bent on Trump being a failure, and they're so filled with hate that they're finding out ways on various political talk shows to denigrate a 4.1 GNP. Things are getting better. People are spending money. The economy is growing. And yet, the left is burning their hair and yelling and screaming from the rooftops, "Oh, we're all going to die." What is the matter with these people? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear, I got to throw this in here real quick. Did you hear that our wacko environmental friends are turning their sights now on fishing? Yeah. They don't want you to go fishing. There's just no end to the idiocy of the left. And now, I saw an interview this morning early with a wacko that sat there and said, "Oh, you can't go fishing anymore." And he cried big alligator tears because when they set the hook in the fish's mouth, it hurts. Oh, the pain. Oh, the pain of those fish. Now, they were trying to condemn and stop a professional fishing tour in North Carolina. Oh, and by the way, it's catch and release for the fishing tournaments. And now they're after the fishing. You know, they're after hunting. They're after fishing. They don't want you to do anything in the outdoors. And that's why I urge you to do even more. Get a pole. Go fishing. Enjoy. And just absolutely smile at the nincompoops on the left. Please. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hello, Anthony over at Save on Shells. You know, I bought my camper shell for my pickup from Anthony, and the service was phenomenal. Save on Shells at 1027 Overland in Burley. And I mean this, take it from me. They have the best selection. They do the best service. They can custom fit any truck on the road. And Anthony just absolutely is a good guy. I mean, he runs around and gets everything done. He's a one-man band that can play every instrument, and I'll guarantee you he's good. Save on Shells, 1027 Overland in Burley. Number to call, 312-1525. Save on Shells in Burley, absolutely the best. Oh, and by the way, when we're talking about the best, we also have to talk about our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Hello. They have 3 locations, and they've got all the equipment. They got the big Doosan equipment, you know, man, those big Doosan loaders and everything. I mean, tough, strong equipment. You can lease it or buy it, and 3 locations, Berry Equipment and Rental, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli, and in Napa. I'm telling you, they've got it all. And if you don't know how to run it, fear not. They'll take you out in the backyard because they got a great big sandbox, and they'll teach you how to run it. Absolutely the best of equipment rentals and retail equipment sales. Berry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Napa. All right, your turn, everybody out there in Radioland. Give me a call. In just a moment, I think we'll do it right now. I think we'll give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. Hello, Sophie's and the crew over there. Every week on Monday, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Wonderful, fantastic restaurant and a great bakery. Wedding cakes and pies and cookies and all kinds of goodies. And here's the question. This is an easy one today. Really easy. And first-time winners only, please. Give me a call at 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. What girls group of singers were made famous and became known worldwide from being on the Lawrence Welk Show? What girls group of singers became world famous and recorded all kinds of albums, etc., from being on the Lawrence Welk Show? What was the name of that girls group? Okay? And give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What was the name of the girls group that was made world famous after they were singers on the Lawrence Welk Show? Give me a call, and you can win a dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. Quickly, get on the phone, give me a call. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Was it the Lennon sisters?
Who is this?
Warren.
Well, there's a lot of Warrens in the world. What's your last name?
Warren Parrish.
Warren Parrish, you have now become the proud winner of a dozen cookies. What's your favorite cookie, by the way?
Probably macaroon.
Ooh, good choice. All right, well, you call them over there at Sophie's Chatterbox. Tell them when you'll be in for your cookies, and by golly, enjoy, all right?
Thank you so much.
All right, Warren, thank you very much.
Bye.
Yep, the answer was the Lennon sisters, and it was just recently a couple of the sisters are still singing professionally, and they've kind of gone a little bit to the countryside. So the Lennon sisters still singing and doing a great job. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, talk to me this morning, everybody. I appreciate your calls. While I'm waiting for your call, and I'm also waiting to find what I did with the papers, another fair that's going to be starting up in just a matter of days will be the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. And their big rodeo is going to be August 7th, 8th, and 9th. And they're also on Friday, August 10th, going to have country artist Jesse G in concert. So there's all kinds of things going on at your Jerome County Fair and Pro Rodeo for 2018. Pro Rodeo, August 7, 8, 9. Jesse G live in concert at the Jerome County Fairgrounds, Friday, August 10th. Don't you miss it. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Well, I'm wonderful. How are you?
Well, I think I'm bordering on peachy.
Okay, peachy is good.
Okay.
So, how old are the Lennon sisters getting to be? And are all of them still alive?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question. I'll have Deanne do some research on the Lennon sisters to see. Can you get me an update on that, Deanne? Find out if they're all alive, the original sisters and everything. I don't know, but I do remember this when I was a little boy at home. My mother and dad made it mandatory that every Saturday night we watched at 6 o'clock the Lawrence Welk Show. And I thought that was terrible to treat a kid that way, that he had to sit and watch Lawrence Welk. But now, looking back, there were some great musicians, great singers, and the Lennon sisters were part of it.
Oh, the Lawrence Welk Show just was the highlight of our weekend. You know, when we finally got a television, because I'm so old, you know, it was really, we were a great big family, and that's the only thing we could sit down and do together on a Saturday night that didn't cost us money.
Yep, that's right.
My mom she would leave the dishes in the sink rather than miss Lawrence Welk. But, yeah, what a fond memory.
Well, I know that I saw two of the sisters on Country Family Reunion on RFD TV, and I don't know the two sisters' first names, but they were part of the Lennon sisters, and they had converted basically to go a little bit towards the country venue, and they did a really good job. I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second, Chris. Do you remember the bass singer, the guy with the deep voice, that used to sing the solos on the Lawrence Welk Show? Remember his name?
No, I don't, but it's just waiting to pop out.
Well, I'll tell you who it was.
So good.
I went, my mom and dad took me to a concert that he sang one time up at Wisconsin Dells, and the man's name was Larry Hooper.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think of any of us our ages, you know, this age that we are in,
yep,
who doesn't remember Lawrence Welk, must have not even been close to a TV. Because that was Saturday night entertainment.
Oh, yeah, and then Lawrence would put down his accordion, and Myron Florin would take the lead accordion job, and then Lawrence would scoot out into the audience, and he would dance, and the cameras would follow him. He was a pretty doggone good dancer, too.
Oh, yes. Now, some of us might like to see some reruns of that and get to feeling a little bit young again.
I got to tell you what makes Deanne mad, and I'm serious, she's sitting right here in the office with me, is that last winter they were running some Lawrence Welk reruns, and you really had to see her face when she come into the living room and looked at me like, what in the world are you listening to when I had the Lawrence Welk reruns on? And then the other thing that makes her mad is when I leave it on Saturday night on RFD TV and they have the Molly B polka party.
In other words, she doesn't have an appreciation for that kind
No, she just absolutely is one of those young kids, you know.
Well, this is what makes marriage interesting.
It does. Hey, God bless you for your call. Thank you. All right, take care. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
With the 1, 2, 3.
What? No. You got to put some flair to it, Keith. He didn't say it that way. A 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a...
I knew that was time for me to leave.
Oh. Okay.
I did not ever care for Lawrence Welk because I'm not a musical person.
Oh.
But he was good. And a lot of things that people don't know about Lawrence Welk, that he was a real taskmaster.
Oh, yeah.
He had to have everything perfect.
Well, and why not when his name...
Communism and all these other things, they're nothing compared to his...
Yeah, but when you put your name on the band, the Lawrence Welk Band or the Lawrence Welk Show, you doggone right, he had every right in the world to be a taskmaster and demand that things were done correctly.
You never heard any scandals on any of those people.
You know what? I never did. And again, Wheels, we got a little feedback here, but I don't remember any scandal about... Remember old Myron Florin? I mean, he was smiling all the time, playing the accordion. And then you had Larry Hooper that would sing all the deep bass songs. And the Lennon sisters. And then Joanne Castle. Do you remember what she played? Do you remember her?
Yes, I remember her. She was a blonde.
Yep.
I do remember that because I always look for that thing.
Yeah, but she was the honky-tonk piano player.
Yes. And very good.
Oh, you better bet the farm. Yes, she was.
You know, there was a variety on there. I appreciate them more now than I did when...
Me too.
When they were popular.
Me too. I got to tell you that I feel like talking about Lawrence Welk this morning and Myron Florin and Larry Hooper has alienated all of my audience under 50.
Yes, you did.
Hey.
And you might say they're lucky.
Well, I tell you what, though, some of the music is still today, and a lot of the stuff that they put together on albums and everything with the Champagne Music Makers, remember that's what he called his band, it's being rejuvenated today.
There was a lot of showmanship there. I'll agree with you on that. He was a master at getting things done.
Yep.
But he was a tyrant.
I agree. Hey, listen, appreciate you calling back. I got another one waiting. Stand by. Appreciate it. Caller number 2, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland and Burley. Oh, they are good. And they put together on Tuesdays the Stoats Equipment Ag Minutes at 9:46. Don't forget that tomorrow. Events and people involved in agriculture and Stoats Equipment, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland and Burley. They make your life easier. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, golly, I hate to keep that calling, but talking about Lawrence Welk, when we were in high school, my husband and I, at Minico, every year, all of the grades, the 4 grades in high school, had to put on a program for the rest of the student body. So one year, our class chose to do the Lawrence Welk Show.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband used to play a violin. He would not like to have anybody know that.
Really?
But anyway, he and another guy in our class played a violin too. And who was the violinist that was always on?
Oh,
Welk?
You got me. I remember who you're talking about. I can see him.
Myron?
No, Myron Florin was the accordion player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, these two guys, they played whatever it was that those guys, the ones on Lawrence Welk were. And I think we were juniors in high school, and every year all the classes had a chance to do a program for the student body. Anyway, that my husband and his friend doing the violin thing brought down the house. Honestly, it was just so funny and so it was just so cute. Anyway, they were actually asked for our class to redo that program again.
Oh, my.
For the parents to come in and watch it because it was so funny. And I hope my husband isn't listening. He just hates me for saying this. But he was a really good violinist. You'll never know it now that he's a farmer.
It doesn't make any difference if he's listening or not. Thousands and thousands of people know that he's a violinist. I got to ask you, watching people...
He doesn't play the violin.
Well, I got to ask you about the violin, though. I've got to ask you about this. Violin players... if that's good terminology. I would imagine that they're almost cross-eyed all the time, and they got a crick in their neck. Don't you kind of get cross-eyed from looking down the bow of that fiddle or violin, and then also that crick in your neck, holding it up there all the time? I would imagine that's physically tough.
Well, I don't know because I never did it.
Oh.
But I think that the trick is that you really stand tall. And instead of cricking your neck so much, your shoulders do the holding.
Oh, okay. All right.
You've got your hand up there moving that violin, whatever it is. And so you've got to stand up straight and keep your neck pretty straight. But my husband, he was really, really good, and I wish he still did it. But the minute he graduated from high school and his mom couldn't tell him what to do, he gave the violin to his younger sister.
Oh, God bless you for a walk down memory lane this morning. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
It was really fun.
Oh, my.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. My mom and dad had it in their head. Pardon me? Oh, my mom and dad had it in their heads that I was going to learn how to play a musical instrument. And they started with the accordion. And accordions are dangerous for fat kids. And then they tried the trumpet. And every time I tried to play the trumpet, it tickled so bad I started laughing. I'm not kidding you. I'm not making this up. And then they tried the piano. I took one lesson, and that didn't work. Mrs. Bendig was the piano teacher, and she told my mom and dad there's absolutely no way that I could even learn chopsticks. So that was great. I got out of that. And then they tried the guitar. And I took lessons for about 6 or 7 weeks or something like that, and I think I mastered like 2 chords. I just am not musically inclined. Sorry, it's just not in my DNA. All right, let's get a weather forecast on in here. And the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they are dedicated to serving people with hearing loss of all ages and their families. Believe me, Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell, absolutely excellent. What you need to do is call them for an appointment. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And the number to call, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, with what I think is going to be a hot forecast, here's Gina.
Here's Here's a look at your weather forecast as we enter into this new work week here on Zeb at the Ranch, and it's going to be smoky today. So if you have some upper respiratory issues, please make note of that because we have wildfires burning to the north and a big fire burning to the east. We are looking at sunny skies for today, high of 93, slightly breezy winds out of the northeast, right around 8 miles an hour. Tonight that smoke's going to stick around, partly cloudy skies with a low of 58. Tomorrow it's definitely going to be hot. Mostly sunny skies. They're calling for 97. Expect temperatures of triple digits or better. We are looking at a little bit of a breeze as well out of the east, right around 8 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, again, smoky, partly cloudy skies with a low of 63. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 95. By Thursday, cooling off to 93. And as we look ahead towards the weekend, looking at upper 80s, low 90s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, thank you very much, and brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with two wonderful doctors, Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell, serving you and your family. Call them today, set up a hearing screening, 312-0957. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was listening and watching the news at about 4 o'clock this morning, and this story came over, and I wanted to pass this along to you. And I want to urge you to remind yourself, this is not indicative and true of all millennials. However, they say about 43% of the millennials are doing this. What am I talking about? Well, 43% of the millennials today, oh, it's so tough being in the world. It's so tough trying to hold down a job that 43% of the millennials say work is too tough. It's too demanding. It's too confining. And 43% are quitting their jobs after about 2 years of trying to apply themselves. They just can't take it anymore. Where's the work ethic? Where in the world? They've got high-paying jobs. One of the people they were talking about is a 27-year-old that started at $100,000 a year. But he quit because he only got 2 weeks vacation the first year. You can't make this stuff up. Now, I know a lot of millennials. I know a lot of millennials, moms and dads. Many of which are absolutely, they're using their talent that God gave them gangbusters, and they're going to be successful no matter what. But when you read these numbers of 43% of millennials, oh, it's just too tough. I don't like to be at work at 8 o'clock. Oh, I only get one break in the morning. Are you kidding me? Or I only get 2 weeks vacation the first year, I'm going to quit. And they leave a $100,000 a year job? This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, I've got a question. I need somebody in Burley to give me an answer, please, because it's just purely my questioning mind. Why on Overland, at the corner of Main and Overland, haven't they cleaned that mess up in Burley of that building? It looks like a war zone. You know, I drove through there a couple of times the other day, and I said to my wife, Burley is much too nice a city to leave something like that mess that looks like it's over in Beirut or someplace. Why? Somebody call me and give me a good answer as to why that mess is not cleaned up. It might be a very obvious answer, and I'm not being critical of anybody until we find out, but it doesn't look good for the city of Burley. Every city wants to put its best foot forward, especially in this day and age. Well, That's a mess. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call and tell me all you know. Want to remind you, too, about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. A caller, I'm going to be right there. Don't you dare go away. All 7 locations saying if you're getting ready for a road trip, you better stop in and see them for the best of tires, all the different tread designs for your car, pickup, SUV, all your trailers. They've got them all, many of which are on sale. Absolutely. And don't forget, too, that they have the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more, but above all, the best in service. I know that. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello. Yeah, I don't know if it's 100% accurate, but I heard rumor that they'd found asbestos when they were cleaning up the mess. And so the government stepped in and told them they couldn't clean up the mess without all the proper authorities and whatever to, be there to authorize cleaning up the mess and doing it properly in their zoot suits and all. So,
yeah, but let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question right there, sir. Don't you feel that it's ample time to address the problem and get something done? Isn't that the biggest eyesore that any city could have on their Overland and Maine location?
Oh, absolutely. It should have been done a long time ago.
I totally agree with you. Thank you. Thank you for your call. God bless you, man. Thanks. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
There's another mess in Burley that they need to get cleaned up, and that's where they had the big corn spill on West Main.
Okay.
There's a big pile of dirt and junk there. They need to get everything cleaned up, but they can't seem to get it done.
Well, I don't know what the reasons are, but for a city that is growing and an area that is growing and expanding so rapidly, with a lot of people looking to come into the Mini-Cache area, or for that matter, all of southern Idaho, and to leave a building that absolutely looks like a bombed-out war zone over in Beirut or whatever for this long a period of time, Bob, it makes no sense to me.
It's pathetic. It's sad. They try. I just don't understand where they put their priorities. And once again, it's probably the railroad that should clean up their mess. But once again, I want to mention the railroad crossings in Cache County are some of the most pathetic things that has happened.
Well, there's got to be, you got to have pride in your community. You got to have pride in what you're serving people with. And to drive by that building, like I said, on Overland, it is disgusting. Thank you, Bob. God bless you, man.
Bye.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly.
Hey, good morning, Jeb. I'll bet it's got to do with asbestos. One way or the other, they can't come up with a address to send the bill to clean up the asbestos to. Would be my guess.
So let me ask you, how long is it going to lay there and possibly be a detriment, not only aesthetically to the city of Burley, but also health-wise? How long are you going to leave something like that lay there?
I have no idea. But I sure miss the 60s in Burley when that was all tore up across from the the pharmacy there on Main and Overland, and the Indians were doing all the beet hoeing in this country, and there's about 14 drunk Indians laying along the wood barrier to keep you from falling into that big hole there.
Well, I tell you what,
this bank is.
I just wish that they could get it cleaned up, and I'd like to have some concrete answers, and if anybody really knows what is holding things up or why, I'd appreciate it. I just don't think it looks good at all for the city of Burley. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. God bless you. Caller, good morning. Quickly.
Morning. The issue is the building was, it's got a private owner, and it's not really the city's responsibility to spend the money to tear it down and to clean it up. But what has happened is the EPA has found asbestos, and what they decided was that by the end of July, which is here, if the owner hasn't cleaned it up, the EPA is going to hire a contractor to clean it up, and then the bill will be sent to the owner of the property.
You know, I'm glad you called on this, and it sounds like you know the answers to the question, but I think off the record, if you had nothing to do with it and you weren't a part of a city council or anything, you've got to admit that absolutely has gone way too long, and it looks terrible for the city of Burley.
It is horrible, but, you know, when you're dealing with federal government agencies, you know as well as I do, nothing happens very quickly.
No, I agree with that, but
it takes time to get it squared away. There's nobody that wants it cleaned up more than the city, but if you don't go about things in the right way, then you end up having a big problem.
Oh, well, I'm glad I asked about it.
Avoid to make sure that things get done correctly and that it's resolved in the right manner.
Amen. I'm glad I asked about it, because whether I'm going to be chewed out by some people or not, I don't care. I think it looks bad, it is bad, and I appreciate your answer. Thank you so much. God bless you. All right. I got to run to the news. CBS is next. I'll be back in 7. Wheels, take it away. Wow, fire danger right here in the Northwest, getting worse every day. Be careful out there, please. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers, like, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's have this good word for another great advertiser, Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Way Services, they're there to serve you because they are always at your disposal. You got a checklist for the big family picnic? Let's see, you got the pickles, and you got the potato salad, and you got the silverware and the plates. Oh, you forgot the porta potties. You got 175 people coming. Well, you better order some porta potties from Western Way Services, always at your disposal. That number, 734-6969. Want to remind you, too, about our friends at Ark Animal Hospital, and they're located at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn, and they're a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small. They take care of them all to keep them all healthy. Absolutely. From little bitty kitty cats all the way up to great big dairy cattle, they do a great job. Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, and the entire staff, it is a great place to take your pets and your livestock. Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Number to call, 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Let's go to the phone line right now and say good morning to a gentleman that has become a fixture on our program on Mondays, and we say hello to the President of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. How are you?
I'm doing great, Zeb. How are you?
Well, we're having a heat wave out here, man. I don't know what it's like where you are, but boy, we've had like 17 or 18 days straight, I think, with 95 to 98 degrees every day.
Well, we've been warm also. It's been a very humid heat where we get rain almost every day, and it doesn't cool things off. The weekend was nice, though, so we're back into the soup today. But I understand that I've got relatives who are in Northern California who've had to flee the forest fire that's up in the Redding area. So I understand there are massive fires all across the Northwest, and
right.
It is And my prayers go to all those people who are impacted by those fires, and may they be safe.
Absolutely, and we're hearing more fire news crop up like we just did on our local news a few moments ago, where they're evacuating many, many people. It is a very dangerous time of the year. Richard, I don't even know how to get into this story because it's really embarrassing, but the Democrats are embracing, they say, not socialism per se, but just portions of socialism. How would you respond to that?
Can't be a little bit pregnant.
Okay, Richard.
Sorry for the short answer, but that's, I give you the dilemma they have. Hillary Clinton in the last campaign was asked how she could distinguish between her and Bernie Sanders, who's a socialist, and her positions that were where she claimed she wasn't. And she wasn't able to actually do a distinction because once you agree with the underlying tenets that the government is preeminent, the government should dictate the winners and losers, and that in fact you should have equality of outcomes. Once you accept that basic tenet, it's all semantics. And the Democrats have fully embraced socialism. They want to try to put a different face on it, but you have, let's face it, the most popular person in their party is Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. What about the youth movement in the Democratic Party? We've talked about this in weeks previous, but this Ocasio-Cortez, for some reason, this woman, and I found her to make a lot of faux pas, a lot of mistakes, but yet she is the media darling. And everybody, they're pointing their finger at her and saying, she's the new face of the Democrats. She's a socialist with great ideas. Yeah, free education, free Medicare, single-payer health insurance, all of which would absolutely lead us on the road to ruin.
Well, it certainly take us there faster than we're going now. Here's the critical piece with their nominee for Congress in Brooklyn. She isn't very smart, and when you actually watch what she says, she really has no answers to things like, how do you pay for it? Because she comes up with almost absurd platitudes. It's kind of like when people say, how are you going to pay for some new program? And they say, we're going to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, that never pays for anything because they never eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. Her ideas are essentially this. We're going to pay for this because there's a bunch of people out there who have a bunch of stuff, and we're going to take their stuff, and we're going to pay for it so other people have stuff. Well, that's socialism. So that's Venezuela. That is how you destroy a wealthy country in less than a generation, and that's her prescription. So, I think that in most of America, where people actually have some basic understanding of economics, that those ideas are going to fail. In fact, I think that people like James Comey, former FBI director, who tweeted out urging Democrats not to embrace the socialist message, so they wouldn't scare off America to voting for them. I think guys like James Comey are actually right. The Democrats need to kind of put back on the sheep's clothing over their wolf bodies. Because as they reveal their teeth to America, America's going to say, no, that's just too extreme. I'm not voting for that.
Right. Let me ask you this. At the same time we're talking about Democrats and socialism, the GNP for the United States has risen to 4.1%. Things are growing. People are spending more money, but yet the media and the left are looking at every crevasse, if you will, to throw rocks at Trump and this administration and basically denounce the great big rise in the percentage of the gross national product. What are you hearing back on the East Coast?
Well, the challenge that the left has is Trump's success means they failed. President Obama said we had to get used to a maximum of a 2% GDP growth on the yearly basis. He said that's our new normal. If we can get to that, that would be great. Almost just assuming that we were going to be in a steadily declining economy that's kind of just, kind of coasting into a loss of economic preeminence in the world. And that was kind of the Obama plan. What President Trump has done is he's ripped up that plan. He set real goals. But understand, Zeb, the government cannot make the economy grow. People make the economy grow.
Right.
What the government can do is put policies in place that encourage people to do things that make the economy grow. And so when you cut taxes, for instance, on the expensing of business expenses, you say you can now expense it all in 1 year. You in fact encourage capital spending, which means buying new equipment, because you're able to deduct it in the first year, as opposed to over 10 or 12 years. So you encourage people to engage in certain economic behaviors through tax code. You encourage them to engage in certain economic behaviors by eliminating regulations that were constricting those behaviors. And that's what the president has done, and people are acting rationally in response to that. And there's been a pent-up demand to grow, and the president is taking advantage of that.
Richard, in a related subject with jobs and money and earning power, etc., I heard a story this morning that 43%, and this number is really large in my consideration, 43% of the millennials say that their work and their jobs are too tough, and they're quitting either before or right after 2 years, some of which were making $100,000 a year initially the first year. And one guy in particular that they interviewed, he quit because he only got 2 weeks vacation the first year. We had $100,000 a year. What's the matter with these kids today, and how are we going to reinvent the work ethic to take back the jobs?
Well, that's a great question. I read an article that was similar to this over the weekend, and it may have been the same article, I don't know. But it is... I don't know that you can reinstill a work ethic. What you can do is you can get people who walk away from pretty darn good life, and when they discover that they still have bills to pay and they still have things they want to do, that traveling the world costs money, and at some point they want to have a family, they want to do things and be an adult, they then switch gears. The challenge is we have kind of changed the millennials look at work differently than I do anyway. They look at work as being something you do so you can afford to play. I look at work as something I do to make a difference.
Yes.
Something I do as part of my own personal fulfillment. And a lot of millennials don't look at it that way. They look at work as being a necessary evil to be able to go to Barcelona in the summer. So, and there'll always be that push and pull between the way people perceive work. Bottom line, what it is, those who perceive work the way I do are going to, in 10 years from now, are going to be hiring the millennials who went on vacation for the first decade of their life. Of their work life.
It's a scary...
The bosses and the millennials who have to work for a living because they can't just be children anymore. They will then be working for the people with good work ethics, and that's how our economy will survive through this almost impossible group of people who... And it's not fair. Many millennials are really, really sharp, really, really hardworking, really, really good.
Right.
Millennials are our military. Millennials are our military. They're the ones who are sitting there in 120-degree heat in Iraq carrying 80-pound packs. So we can't blame all millennials when we've got millennials carrying 80-pound packs in 120-degree heat to defend our country. So clear. But yeah, you have to deal with it. The ones who don't opt into the economy will fail.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, the markets will dictate it, and they will regret that they've squandered their intellect and their resource.
Very well stated. And we have a caller with a question. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air. Thank you.
Well, Zeb, it's more of a comment. Those who work harder because their parents have taught them instead of letting the school system train them to do whatever they think necessary. Zeb, does your kids have any problem with work ethic?
Not at all.
You taught them how to work.
That's right.
But my kids don't seem to have any problem with their work ethic. They know they got to be there. But when parents let the school system and the communists that are running that system, for some funny reason, we have a lot of problems.
Very well stated, sir, and I'll have Richard make a comment on that. Richard, go ahead, please. Caller, thank you for your call.
Totally. It's up to ultimately, parents install work ethic, and parents decide, is my kid going to get an allowance for just being alive, or are they going to get an allowance for taking out the trash? Those are they going to get paid extra if they mow the lawn and trim the lawn, versus just running the lawnmower over it and not trimming it, not making it look nice? Those are ways you instill a value system, and plus those who sit there and say, no, you make your bed because that's what we do in our family, you don't get paid for it, and just kind of instill a sense of how things should operate in general. Those people are going to be, their kids are going to be more industrious. They're going to understand what it takes to be successful, and what's more, they're not going to just say, oh, my bike broke, I need a new bike. They'll sit out there and they'll figure out how to fix it, and they'll learn skills working with their hands because they knew that they had to pay money to get that bike. They're going to fix the bike. They're going to learn how to fix flats. They're going to learn how to fix a chain. They're going to learn how to do those things so they can, in fact, then spend their money on something else that they want, rather than have to just have the expectation that parents are going to replace whatever happens to break in their lives.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to ask you about, and I kind of fire different questions at you every week, Richard, but would you explain to me the benefit of having a black chamber of commerce or a Hispanic chamber of commerce in any community as opposed to a chamber of commerce? What is the benefit of segregating and having chambers of commerce by ethnicities and races?
First of all, I think that they're not mutually exclusive. Okay, first of all, I think people who are members of a black chamber of commerce have the capacity to also be a member of the generic chamber of commerce. So they aren't mutually exclusive designations. I will tell you specifically in terms of black chamber of commerce, one of the reasons you do it is a lot of the government contracts have set-asides for minority-owned businesses, and it's a way to find out about set-asides that exist that you might be able to take advantage of that you wouldn't find out about in a chamber of commerce, and a non-ethnic based chamber of commerce. It also could be that there's a desire amongst people who are black or Hispanic or Asian to have a place where they're going and talking about unique problems that they feel that they face in business versus elsewhere. It could be everything based on my business is located in a different part of town and it's harder to get employees to come there. They might have more shrinkage as a result of where they're located, and how do you deal with that? So some of the challenges facing a black business might be different in terms of just practical everyday running the business than a non-black business. So there might be a lot of reasons. I don't have any problem with free association. If people sit there and say, I want to belong to the Black Chamber of Commerce, they're paying dues. It's their money. If they want to join a group that's exclusively one race to talk about business issues amongst people in that race, their money. They're allowed to do it.
Well stated. And finally, the last item of discussion this morning, Cohen, the attorney, Trump, the president, the tape, the kind of mangled tape with a lot of hidden innuendos, etc. When is all this going to end? I'm sick of this kind of news.
Boy, I wish I knew. I don't think it's going to. The sad fact is that I think Robert Mueller is going to be a wart on the posterior of Donald Trump for the entirety of his presidency, because there's no incentive for Robert Mueller ever to end.
Right.
And as long as there's no incentive for him to ever wrap it up, as long as Congress keeps funding him, as long as the Department of Justice keeps him in place, well, he's got a good job. He gets lots of headlines. He's able to, have 60, 80 attorneys working at his beck and call, being a semi-justice department, running around prosecuting whatever crimes the Caped Crusader happens to find that affect his political enemies. I don't think he's got any incentive to quit. So why would he quit a good-paying job where he gets lots of press when he's got no incentive to? So it doesn't end until Congress decides it ends, and Congress doesn't have the political will to decide the decline.
No, I agree with that. Congress doesn't have the political will, but then also the taxpayers, myself, yourself, and everybody else. What are we at? $50-60 million right now, and nothing has been proven.
That's people telling the congressman that this has got to end.
That's right.
And that's ultimately how it ends. If Americans say on Election Day, this needs to end by voting people in who aren't going to be looking at impeachment, but instead are wanting us to pull together as a country. If they elect that, they're going to make people get a chance to make a decision in November what they want, and if they vote for a continuation for Democrat control of the House, Democrat control of the Senate, they're effectively voting for Robert Mueller on steroids. If they vote for the GOP, the worst we get is what we have now, and potentially the GOP figures it out that they need to get rid of this guy. That after 2 years of torturing the country, he's come up with nothing. He needs to go away. But that's a matter of people telling their elected representatives what they expect out of them. It's not going to be a solution. It's going to come from Washington. It's going to come from Boise, Idaho, and the like, and people delivering that message very specifically to their members of Congress.
Absolutely. Richard Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government. Every week he's on, and we get good information that we can chew on for another 7 days. Thank you, Richard. God bless you, man. Appreciate it.
God bless you. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I enjoy having him on the program every week for his insight, and especially he's right there on Capitol Hill and knows what's going on. Richard Manning, thank you. Oh, my. Let's see. I want to say a big shout-out and thank you to Joel Heward, manager of Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. What a nice person. And his family and his staff serving you and your family. They are so community-oriented, and when you need them, when there's the passing of a loved one, they are there, always working with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity for you. Please write the number down and remember Hanson Mortuary at 436-5636 at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Very nice people. By the way, the Cassia County Fair is just a couple of weeks away, and the merchants over in that area want you to come to the Cassia County Fair. Like Baker Brothers Pump Service at 103 West 500 South of Burley. Number to call, number to remember, 678-9042. From residential pump service to water softener sales, they can do it all. Baker Brothers Pump Service. And Burley Veterinary Hospital, nice people at 2869 Overland in Burley. Two great doctors for all your animals' needs and a wonderful staff to serve you. Don't forget, Burley Veterinary Hospital, 678-5509. And last but not least, Rudder's Showcase at 2611 Overland in Burley. Huge, that means really big. Fair Day sale August 6th through the 18th, 12 months, same as cash. You better check it out, all the freezers and dishwashers, everything at Rudder's Showcase in Burley. And they all invite you to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. In just a few minutes, we're going to be talking to our dear friend Greg Walton at the Minidoka County Fair and Rodeo, so that's coming up in just a few seconds. But before we go over there, let's see, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Vicky's Garden. Oh, my goodness, tomorrow she's going to be on the air with us at 9:30. Vicky's Country Garden, located at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And at 9:30 on Tuesdays, we have Vicky, and she just explains everything about what to do here, how to make sure that you get rid of this problem or this weed or whatever. She is sharp. Excuse me, celebrating 21 years in business. Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. The number to call, 438-5663. She is a very nice lady. And also, we were in there the other day at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, and I have got myself a brand new recliner. Oh, yes, I do. My other one, it just decided to take the Deep Six. It's gone, but by golly, I got a dandy. Woo, fancy one, too, at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Well, I went in there, and I tried a bunch of them on, and then I found this one, and it said to me, buy me, and I did. It's absolutely very comfortable. And they're having their red, white, and blue sale for today and tomorrow. You better get in there and save a lot of money. 12 months interest-free, and boy, I'll tell you what, you can save a lot of dough, from 30 to 50% off. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Really good people. Hello, Jeff and the crew over there. By the way, too, I want to remind everybody about Let's Ride, and boy, if you haven't been taking the opportunity to get out of the valley and go up to the mountaintops, boy, they've got all the ATVs, they've got all the watercraft, they've got it all over at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and they're open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Great people, Nick, Randy, the whole crew serving you, and oh boy, what an accessory department. They've got everything over there. And I want to brag a little bit about the service department too. Tyson and the crew, they can keep you running and going. These are good folks at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where we always say, this is where the fun is sold, at Let's Ride. Let's get this next man on the phone and talking all about the great big Minidoka County Fair and Rodeo, and his name is Greg Walton. Hello, Greg. How you doing?
Good morning, Zeb. It is a fine Monday morning. Are you ready for Fair Week?
I am, my friend, and at 8 o'clock this morning, man, they threw open the gates and said, y'all come on in, because it started this morning, the Minidoka County Fair, with the theme Building Dreams at the Minidoka County Fair. What are you doing today, Mr. Walton?
You know what, Zeb? I'm just tying up some loose ends. Got to get a few things picked up for the fat stock sale, and we got animals coming in to get weighed in later today. And I'll tell you what, I was over there early this morning, and people are starting to set up food booths. Zeb, it's going to be a great, great week out at the Minidoka County Fair.
Well, there is something for everyone, and let's kind of go through the calendar of events, if you will, starting with today and then also tonight. What's cooking that people don't want to miss?
Well, today there's not a whole lot going on other than setup. We got to get stuff set up in the merchant buildings, antique buildings, get all your stuff checked in if you're bringing things in for the open class. You know, I mean, they judge jams, jellies, pies, cakes, you name it, they do it down there, Zeb. But the big thing that's going to kick off the week for us is tonight we got the lawnmower races.
Well, now give me a little bit, if there are such things as rules that have to be abided by in a lawnmower race. Surely you can tell us all about it.
Well, you know, I've seen a few of those things, and Joe Phillips and the boys down there, they've got a full set of rules. When you check in, they'll give you the what, why, and how. But I'll tell you what, if you've ever seen a lawnmower with wheelie bars It's doing something. And them boys have a lot of fun. That's a good time. This is actually the third of a series, so I think there's going to be some championship shootouts and some grudge races going on, and I think it's going to be a good time, Zeb.
Well, now, Greg, do they soup these things up a little bit? They're not just for cutting grass, but they'll turn the dirt over a little bit too, won't they?
Oh, yeah, they've got them souped up a little bit. They still have stock classes, and then they got modifieds, and then if they got any dragsters there, I haven't heard if they're bringing any of those babies out. Those aren't. They just drag straight across down that arena, and I'll tell you what, them boys are clipping right along when they hit the end of that grandstand.
Oh, I'll bet they are. That's tonight starting at 6 p.m., and how much are the tickets?
Tickets to get into that lawnmower races tonight, Zeb, are $5 a person or $15 a family.
Okay. Now, tomorrow, Tuesday, of course, there's going to be a lot of judging starting, and they're going to have the horse show and the horse quality and performance, and I understand they're going to have the judging of the open class entries, etc. What else is going on tomorrow, Tuesday, the 31st?
Pretty much all just what you said, Zeb. We've got all the judging going on pretty much all day. The merchants will finish up setting up their buildings. All the food vendors will be going hot and heavy. Go out there for lunch, dinner, come sit down, take it easy. It's going to be hot, but we got plenty of shade. We got plenty of picnic tables. It's a good time to sit around and visit with your friends. And then tomorrow night, 6 o'clock in the arena, is the Tiny Tot Horse Gymkhana. And then out at the horse race track in the horse race grandstands is PMT's Night at the Fair, Zeb. Free to the public. Charlie Jenkins. Just come down, bring your lawn chairs, sit in the grandstands. There'll be people down there setting up. It'll be a great time.
Oh, boy, I guess it will be. And you said the PMT concert is free. That's the key word, right?
Yes, it is free. It is in those south grandstands. So remember that when you're pulling in. You may want to come in on that south entrance, get a little closer. But we will have people down there running the cart around, picking people up. If you don't want to walk, we'll try to help you out and get you up there. But yes, free to the public. There is tons of stuff going on, Zeb. I mean, there is truly something for everybody.
Absolutely. Now, when you were in 4-H, what different classes did you take? I mean, like, were you in the horse classes, or did you show a steer? Did you show a pig? What did you do?
No, growing up, Zeb, I was kind of one of them farm kids that got stuck in the middle of town. So the only thing I was able to do was I took a dog a couple years. But my kids are really involved. They've taken everything from beef to dairy to pigs. We got goats this year. It's a great program, Zeb. And I'll tell you what, if you haven't watched some of those kids' show, they work at it all year long. It's not just something they feed and then they take it and, run it around and get rid of it. I mean, these kids have put a lot of time and effort into it.
Absolutely. Now, Wednesday, and I had some calls after you were on last week in regards to Wednesday, you're going to have an antique engine show. Basically, what is it and what's going to happen?
So this is something new I think they're trying this year. They've kind of ran them in the past, but I think we finally put it down. We've had a lot of people show interest in that, and they're going to have some old steam engine tractors, some old grinders. They'll have everything there set up, and it's not just to look at. These guys have taken time and made these all run again.
Oh, my.
I mean, some of this stuff that they've got out there is a little bit on the old side, and tell you what, it runs better than some of the new stuff I've seen.
Now, along with that's going to be from noon to 7 in the grass area. I also had some calls, and they said, holy moly, the Lions are going to put on a great big barbecue, and then the Fair Board is going to have an ice cream social. Tell us about that.
For sure, Zeb. The Lions barbecue starts at 5:30. Tickets for that are $10 for adult, $5 for ages 6 and under, and I promise you what, for $10, you're not going to go away hungry.
Well, it says
a lot of time and effort into that.
It says all you can eat, and I know the Lions, boy, they pride themselves on good food. And I understand then the Fair Board's going to have a cobbler and ice cream special social. Tell me a little bit about that.
one more time, Deb. I mean, the Fair Board wants to show the community the appreciation of everybody that puts their time and effort in. We build, I think there's 16 now, great big Dutch ovens, and we do all sorts of different cobblers. We've got ice cream donated, and it's free to the public. So come down, buy your tickets for the Lions Barbecue. It's under the pavilion, nice and shaded, plenty of seating. Sit down, have yourself a nice dinner, and then have a free ice cream and cobbler dessert.
Now, Wednesday night and Thursday night, you're going to have a junior rodeo. Give us all the details about that event.
Yeah, so the junior rodeo kicks off on Wednesday night. That thing has grown so big that we've had to do 2 nights. Now we're doing Wednesday and Thursday night. Get entered up in that, but that starts at 7 o'clock on Wednesday and Thursday night. Tickets are $6 for adults, and 6 and under are free.
Okay. And then we move over to Friday and Saturday night. And again, I want to stress the fact that they've got activities during the day. But on Friday and Saturday night, the Wild West Open Rodeo. And I know you've got information about that.
Oh, yeah. We put on a good open rodeo. We've got a great announcer, Zeb. Do you know who that might be this year?
No, I've heard about the guy. I don't know where he is.
No, Zeb and I get to sit up there and watch all them great cowboys come through that arena. And I'll tell you what, folks, it's a good time. Kicks off on Friday night. Mutton busting starts at 7. The rodeo starts at 7:30. And, of course, we'll have our Queen Royalty both nights. They get crowned on Friday night, and then we have our Grandma Queen get crowned on Saturday night. And that's something, Zeb. That Grandma Queen, all these ladies that we've nominated over the years have done so much for our community. Just come out and support them. Can't tell you who it is. In fact, if you ask me, I don't know yet.
Okay.
I haven't heard who they're going to get this year, but I'll tell you what. It is a very, very neat deal that we do for that Grandma Queen.
Now, on Friday night, you might tell us, too, a little bit about the Man Up Crusade. What does that mean?
Yes, so the Man Up Crusade has come to us here a few years ago. We do, it's Wear Purple Night. It's for ladies and people that have been in bad spots, and we support that deal. It's a good deal out of Boise, and they come down. They'll be selling some stuff usually. If you don't have any purple, just come and buy some from them. All the proceeds go to support that Man Up Crusade, and it's a good deal, Zeb. It really is a great deal.
Absolutely. Now, I don't want to forget that on Saturday it's going to be a really full plate, if you will, at the Minidoka County Fair, and you're going to have the 4-H and FFA Buyers Livestock Auction starting at 9 o'clock. Give us a little background on that.
Yeah, Zeb. So all those kids come, bring their animals to the fair, they show them, and then everything that makes weight, and the kids have done their books and put all this time and effort in. We've got the fat stock sale at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's strictly for the kids. But I'll tell you what, we have had so many community people come out and support those kids, Zeb. It is a huge, huge deal, and we cannot express the appreciation that we have for the businesses, the personal people that come and support these kids. We are going to do, again, this year, a free lunch for the buyers. You just come, get registered. We'll start at 9 o'clock sharp. We'll get you in and out of there quick. But while we're having that sale, we'll have kids running around with pulled pork sandwiches, chips, drinks. You just come and sit down, and we'll take care of the rest.
All righty. And then Saturday afternoon, the Antique Tractor Pull. That's a fascinating event for a lot of people in this area.
Oh, heck yeah, Zeb. I mean, these guys come out, same type of deal as the Antique Tractor deal on Wednesday. They've got those engines running and stuff. But these guys got full-on tractors. They hook up to a sled, and they show you what they'll do. And I'll tell you what, if you've never been to one of those and seen it, it is pretty impressive to see what some of those older tractors can do.
You know, Greg, the fun and the families and the atmosphere of a county fair, they're all right there at Minidoka County Fair. Why don't you tell everybody to come on out this week?
I'll tell you what, Zeb. I've been to a lot of fairs, and I'll tell you what, the Minidoka County Fair is one of my favorite. Now, granted, I'm a little biased. I live over here next to it. But I'll tell you what, there is no better place to go and sit down, have great food, see all your friends and family. We've got plenty of shade. And there is something going on from about 7 o'clock in the morning until about 11, 12 o'clock at night. You just come down and hang out. It's a great, great place to be this week.
Well, I am guaranteeing you, folks, these are really nice people at the 70th Annual Minidoka County Fair with the theme Building Dreams at the Minidoka County Fair. Greg Walton, I thank you so much for taking the time to come on the program. Take care, shade up someplace, have a cool drink, and we'll see you later on this week.
All right, sounds good, Zeb. We'll see you down there.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much. People are so nice over there at the Minidoka County Fair. Appreciate them. Oh, we've got to get a weather forecast on here right now, and the weather is brought to you by our friends at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. I was in there the other day and saw Leiden Crane, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, and so much more. And Leiden mentioned to me, he said, be sure and tell everybody that there are big changes in the tax laws, and tax rates have changed, and some new deductions and some alterations to the already existing deductions. So you better be aware, for you, your family, and your business. You get a hold of them today. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast as we enter into this new work week here on Zeb at the Ranch, and it's going to be smoky today. So if you have some upper respiratory issues, please make note of that, because we have wildfires burning to the north and a big fire burning to the east. We are looking at sunny skies for today, high of 93, slightly breezy winds out of the northeast, right around 8 miles an hour. Tonight, that smoke's going to stick around, partly cloudy skies with a low of 58. Tomorrow, it's definitely going to be hot. Mostly sunny skies. They're calling for 97. Expect temperatures of triple digits or better. We are looking at a little bit of a breeze as well out of the east, right around 8 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, again, smoky, partly cloudy skies with a low of 63. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 95. By Thursday, cooling off to 93. And as we look ahead towards the weekend, looking at upper 80s, low 90s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Woo-wee, I tell you what, past the deodorant, it's going to stay warm, and it sounds like it's really going to get up there and nudge that 100-degree mark tomorrow. Wow. And the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. With offices in Burley and Rupert, please get a hold of them today and find out about the tax changes. And for you, your family, and your business, the best. Serving you, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. All right. Your turn. Now, I would appreciate it if you'd give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587 about any subject you want to talk about for the remainder of this morning's hour. And give me a call right now, please, at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the nice things that I watched at least a little bit of over the weekend was the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. You know, I used to play a lot of baseball. I love the game of baseball. There's a lot more to it than a lot of people sitting there, oh, well, it's boring. No, it's not, in my opinion. I love the game of baseball. But it has shown me the last couple of years true professionals. I haven't seen any major leaguers in Major League Baseball take a knee during the national anthem or sit down. And they have been absolutely true professionals. Well, over the weekend, they had the Baseball Hall of Fame inductees, and exceptional talent like Chipper Jones and Jim Thome and others. Oh, my goodness, just really a part of baseball history. But it was really heart-wrenching, and it brought tears to my eyes, the humanity of these baseball players. Getting up there and thanking so many people for their success. Every baseball player there thanked their wives. Every baseball player that was inducted thanked their managers, and they thanked the rest of their teammates. Couldn't have done it without them. And I think what really got to me right off the get-go was when they had the national anthem. Jim Tomey's daughter sang the national anthem. And the camera cut away from her and did a split screen of her dad, who was going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, and the tears of pride streaming down his face as he listened to his daughter do a beautiful, beautiful rendition of our national anthem. And I just want to say what a touch of class it was for the inductees, their families, and other Hall of Famers to gather on that day. They, the baseball players, really are professional. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call. I'd like to hear from you. And while I'm waiting for your call, I also want to remind you about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. All the life insurance, all the health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits, all for you, your family, and your business. I urge you to give them a call and find out more. They are very dedicated and responsive to your needs and very accessible to helping you, too. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Caller, thank you very much. Good morning. You're on the air.
I just can't leave you alone. There are two songs that bring tears to my eyes whenever it's sung and I hear it. And it's our national anthem and the hymn, How Great Thou Art. They are just so meaningful to those of us who love life and this country. They just bring me tears to my eyes.
I can't argue on your choices. And, you know, it's funny, Chris, but I've said this story before. Because of my career traveling all over the United States and, for that matter, the world, representing various events such as the National Finals Rodeo or the World Equestrian Games, or the Olympics, etc., I've heard the national anthem probably more than most, but still, when there is a stirring rendition with people that can sing it and sing it with a purpose and true meaning, you are 100% right. It does bring tears to my eyes because it's a very emotional song.
Yes, and for me, and many, many people in the listening audience, I have relatives who have fought in every one of the wars that has kept our country free. And, you know, that's a big sacrifice. And most of them came home, but not all of them.
Right.
And they served our country as relatives of everybody else in this nation because they wanted freedom and they wanted to keep it free.
You know, I can't say anything more in addition to that. I agree with you. There's other songs that instill that feeling in me also, like when I hear God Bless America with Kate Smith and others, or if I hear the song Rock of Ages. Those songs, I think you can never replace those songs. You can never redo those songs, nor should we.
No, and they need to be on the first few pages of all of the hymnals.
Amen. Thank you for bringing that up this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. You know, there's a lot of great songs that absolutely stir a lot of meaning. And she's right. Whether it's the national anthem or whether it's Rock of Ages or whatever, powerful songs. I was asked by a gentleman in Boise one time that listens in on the internet every day. He said, and I'm kind of pretty close in what he said, I don't want to hear that Kate Smith every day. I get sick of that song. I don't. I don't think that you can ever replace some of the older and, quite frankly, I think wiser singers that really made some outstanding hits out of some of our songs. I don't think you can replace some of the Frank Sinatras. I don't think you can replace some of the Kate Smiths. I don't think we ever should. And it's been a proven fact that some that sing the national anthem and want to make the variants to their own ways and means about how they sing it, they've made fools out of themselves. They have. But when I think of the Whitney Houstons, and I think of the Faith Hills, and Faith Hill did such an outstanding job with her version. I can still remember hitting those notes and those jets flying overhead and breaking the sound barrier with a kaboom and everything. Oh, man, if that doesn't make you proud to be an American, nothing will. They've done a great job. Want to remind you, too, about the Jerome County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Their Pro Rodeo over in Jerome is going to be August 7th, 8th, and 9th. Don't forget that at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. And along with all the activities that they've got over in Jerome, on Friday night, August the 10th, they're going to have country artist Jesse G in concert. They've got a lot of big things planned at your Jerome County Fair and Rodeo and concert. Don't you miss it. A lot of fun over in Jerome. Wow, let's see what else have I got here real quick. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk to the author of a new book called Duped, and it's all about how there are many, many people in this United States going after our Second Amendment and our right to bear arms. Then at 10:30 this morning, a good friend to the show that's been on numerous times in the past, he's the vice president of the Idaho Freedom Foundation, Fred Birnbaum, is going to be on the program, and we're going to be talking about the Medicaid problem and issue here in the state of Idaho. So that's really going to be very interesting. Thank you very much. As we mentioned a little bit ago, lawnmower races tonight at 6 p.m. at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds. They'll start at 6, concessions at 5:30. You don't have to worry about cooking supper. Just show up, and the concession stands will take care of you. All of that tonight at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Wheels as he heads us into CBS News. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. All righty. Man, oh man, there's a lot of devastating news in the news this morning. And our best wishes to those up in the Bellevue area with that fire that looks like it may cause a lot of problems. Don't forget, this is Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, excellent people, really, and service is the key word. Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. A lot of things going on. We want to remind you that in a couple of weeks, the Cache County Fair, but we've got a lot of their merchants that want to invite you to the fair and all the activities, including the Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 1000 South of Burley, 678-7324. Locally owned and operated for over the years by super nice people with competitive prices and quality seed. Golden Valley Warehouse. And Mountain Transmissions at 1146 East Main in Burley, right across the street from Stoats Equipment. And believe me, Rick and the crew can help you with the latest and greatest technology available, Mountain Transmissions. And Kelly's Bearings at 1407 East Main in Burley. Oh, you don't have to waste your time. You just go on in there and get the bearings, the chains, and the brackets that you need right now. You'll know where you're at when you get your bearings at Kelly's in Burley. Absolutely good people. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and we have the author of a book I really am anxious to find out about. And unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to read a lot of the preliminaries, but we have Mark Smith available to us, the author of Duped, How the Anti-Gun Lobby Exploits the Parkland School Shooting and How Gun Owners Can Fight Back. Boy, there's a lot in that title. Good morning, Mark Smith. How are you?
Zeb, thank you for having me on.
Well, you know, anything to do with the Second Amendment, of course, I'm going to try to get those people on my program because I think the First and Second Amendment are absolutely under assault by the Democrats and the liberals in this country right now that are bent on a socialistic kind of an exploit to transition and change our Constitution. Why did you feel it necessary to write this book, Duped?
Earlier this year, in the middle of April, I read an announcement that David Hogg, one of the Parkland school shooting survivors, got a major book deal with the publishing house Random House. And I realized that the mainstream media, that of course is basically controlled by the elites that want to take away our guns as Americans, decided that they were going to use David Hogg as the new face for the very, very old gun control movement in America. And I thought it was important that American gun owners understand what's going on so they can see through the fallacies and what the left is doing with the media, this sort of spreading of the myth that there is a new gun control movement, there is a wave of desirability of gun control in America. That is not the case. This was AstroTurf, where while the media talks about everyone wants gun control, the reality is Americans overwhelmingly do not want gun control. They actually want greater gun liberties and gun rights. And I decided to write this book, #Duped, as a response to the new face of gun control, David Hogg, and the people that are trying to say we should give up our rights under the Second Amendment. And I wanted to also put in the book, Zeb, some very basic arguments that any gun owner, whether talking to their spouse or their colleagues or their coworkers or their friends at Thanksgiving and what have you, can talk about the importance of guns in American life and to be able to rebut any liberal myths about guns and why guns are bad. So I provided a very easy-to-use series of chapters for ordinary gun owners to be able to pick up, read in a couple minutes, and know how to defend the Second Amendment with any of their hostile liberal friends.
You know, Mark, I really appreciate your coming on, and I'm going to get a copy of this book, and then I'm going to read it and have you back, but I'm glad you're here this morning. I look at the attack on our Second Amendment kind of like a good cop, bad cop routine, to where the good cop comes in and tries to make you feel really good, like everything's going to be great, and then all of a sudden, if you don't go their way, the bad cop comes in and he just absolutely tears you apart and makes you feel like you're the guilty party. I see this in gun control issues today. I see it with gun owners like myself, to where the left and the Democrats and the liberals are trying to make us feel, oh, we shouldn't own guns. We're all part of a bad part of America. Am I wrong in my perception?
No, you're correct. One of the problems I discuss with the gun control debate in America, Zeb, is that the media, the main media, the Washington Post, the New York Times, are based in these cities that are blue of the blue in terms of being politically left. And I give this example of New York City where I live. In New York City, if I wanted to bring one of my non-gun owning friends or colleagues or someone I know from the media to a gun range and say, look, handguns are not scary things. Let me show you how it works. Come to the gun range with me. I'll let you shoot my handguns. I'll let you, play with guns. All the things that most people in America do. In New York City, Zeb, legally, if you do not have a gun license and you touch a gun in New York City, that is a felony, and you go to jail for a year. So in these blue cities where there's no real way for the people that write for the media to be able to learn anything about guns, because they're not even legally able to touch a gun. And if they're not able to touch a gun, they're never going to go get a gun license. So you have people in the mainstream media in Washington and San Francisco and Los Angeles and New York writing about gun issues, and yet they know absolutely nothing about gun issues, and there's no way for them to learn about it because the laws deny them the ability to even learn if they're interested or curious about what these things are. And I think that the left designs it this way to try to keep as many people ignorant about the role of guns in American society as possible. And that's why, Zeb, I also write about in the book, #Duped, about how you never read in the paper or rarely read in the national news any story about a good guy with a gun. You only read about bad guys with guns doing bad things. You never hear about good guys with guns doing good things because there's an implicit conspiracy among the media to hide any of the valuable things associated with guns because they don't want people to learn about it and understand its import. And
absolutely.
Shows like yours, Zeb, are out there, spreading the word of the goodness of guns.
We have a caller with a question, Mark, and I've got so many questions I can see already. I'm going to have you back in the near future. Caller, go ahead with your question, please. You're on the air.
Are them really gun laws, or are they ordinances that the city has passed? Because 90% of the ordinances the city passed aren't legal. May it pass the constitutional muster?
That's a good question, and I'll have Mark answer that. What about that? Are they just ordinances, or are they really underneath the constitutional scrutiny as being legal?
It's a great question. In New York City, because New York City has so many people, it has a special set of laws that apply only to it under New York state law. And in New York City, they have the power and authority to enact their own legislation through the city council. So the New York City laws can basically be even more strict on gun ownership and gun rights and gun restrictions than even New York State. So New York State, at least up until the SAFE Act, was actually not a horrible place for guns. It was not a good place, but it was not horrible. But New York City has always been horrible, and that was kind of this is a great example for Lessons for America, Zeb, which is this, that if you let New York State vote on the gun issue, ignoring New York City, you actually would find that the pro-gun views of New York State would be very strong. But once you put in New York City into voting for Chuck Schumer, you get a much different anti-gun outcome. And this is why the left wants to do away with the Electoral College, because the left believes that if you let Americans be governed by New York City, by Washington, D.C., by San Francisco, by L.A. and Chicago, then obviously the liberal values of those people will prevail over ordinary other people that, don't subscribe to that. And that's what we see. But the answer is New York City can pass its own laws. Those laws are binding, and as to whether or not they're constitutional, well, I hope the Supreme Court will, with Brett Kavanaugh, soon tell us that all of those New York City gun laws are unconstitutional and have to go away. But right now, they're still binding, and, people like Plexico Burress, the former wide receiver for the New York Giants, had to go to jail for a year because he was caught with a handgun in New York City at a nightclub a couple years back, and since he did not have a license to have it, even he, the famous New York Giant player, had to go to jail for a year.
But, Mark, I hate to be vague on this, and I somewhat am naive regarding the Constitution versus these local ordinances, etc. How can the Constitution be trumped? I just don't understand. If it says that we have the right to bear arms, etc., why can they have gun confiscations like they've had recently in some states, saying that they're going to come and get it if you don't provide them with the access to your guns that they think are illegal? Why isn't the Constitution still trumping these kind of circumstances?
While the Constitution trumps those, I like to say that you have no rights if you have no remedy. If you remember the old Soviet Union, they had a very long constitution that guaranteed you everything under the sun. But in practice, because there were no courts that would protect your rights, you really had no rights. So where we stand in America today is the Supreme Court has decided two cases, the Heller case and the McDonald case, that says you have an individual right to have a unlocked, loaded gun in your home. That's it. That's the only thing the Supreme Court has said that you have a right to. Now, I believe we have far more rights than that under the Second Amendment. But the problem is that if someone gets arrested in New York City or San Francisco with a concealed gun, they're going to go to jail, and the odds of an American court right now letting them go free on the Second Amendment grounds, as of today at least, is not very high. Now, I do believe that's going to get changed with the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. I think we're going to see a U.S. Supreme Court being much more aggressive in protecting the rights of gun owners. But the reality is, Zeb, that if a court won't come to your rescue if you're in trouble, you're going to go to jail, even though, to me, it's wrong. We see this in New Jersey all the time. You know the rule? The rule that says you can carry a gun from one state where you're allowed to have a gun into another state where you're allowed to have a gun, and you can cross a state where you would otherwise not be allowed to have a gun, and you can do that under a federal statute that protects gun owners.
Mm-hmm.
If you are arrested in New Jersey with a gun, if you're found with a gun, let's say going from Vermont where you can have your handgun to Florida where, let's say, you can have a handgun with a license, if you are driving from Vermont to Florida and you drive through New Jersey and the New Jersey State Police pull you over and find out you have a gun in New Jersey, they will almost certainly arrest you. And you will get to tell a judge after spending the weekend in jail that you have the right to have a gun under the federal law, and the judge will likely let you go free under that federal law, Zeb. The problem is that it will take you 2 days in jail and $5,000 to hire a lawyer to make that argument to then be let go free. So we clearly are not doing enough to protect gun owners in the United States, but I'm optimistic that will start to change once we replace, Justice Kennedy with soon-to-be Justice Kavanaugh.
Let me ask you this, Mark. When you were writing the book and coming up with the concepts for this book called Duped, How the Anti-Gun Lobby Exploits the Parkland Shooting, and How Gun Owners Can Fight Back, what did you, Mark Smith, learn that might have set you back on your hip pockets that scared you when you were writing this book?
Is just how close we all came to losing our right to any kind of gun had Hillary Clinton won.
Wow.
Because had Hillary Clinton won the White House, she was going to enact gun confiscation laws, in my view, using regulations without even asking the Congress. And when those regulations were challenged as illegal in court, Hillary Clinton appointed judges would have upheld those regulations as the law of the land, trumping the Constitution, and there had been very little we as gun owners could have done about it. And we were so close to losing all of our gun rights, and thank God we elected Donald Trump. I think that has made all the difference in the world by virtue of having the Justice Gorsuch on there and soon a Justice Kavanaugh. That, I think, saved gun owners, gun rights, the Second Amendment, and maybe America for quite some time. And we were on the edge, in my view, of losing all of it if Hillary had been elected.
Yeah, but what about the opportunity? And I'm saying this with a kind of a tongue-in-cheek because I don't believe they have an opportunity for the Democrats to possibly retake the House and or the Senate, and the power play that they will pull for the introduction of more frivolous laws that they think are going to curb or stop the problem. What about that?
Well, yes. First of all, I don't think there's any realistic way, unless the Republicans manage to screw up the Kavanaugh nomination. If the Republicans fail to confirm Brett Kavanaugh between now and the midterms, the Republicans could have problems, but I don't see that happening. But I agree, if the House is taken back by the Democrats, well, then basically everything in Washington will come to a screeching halt with one major exception, and that is that judges who we really need on the gun issue, because they're the ones that enforce the Second Amendment and protect our Second Amendment rights, are the judges. Those judges nominated by Donald Trump need only be confirmed by the U.S. Senate. the House has no say, Jeb, over judges. So even if the Democrats take back the House, Donald Trump and the U.S. Senate can go to town with the Republican Senate and nominate and confirm a whole bunch of judges that will interpret the Second Amendment the way we would like it interpreted, which is to enforce it as an individual right against government, oppression, government tyranny, government encroachment, and the like. And that's what will happen. Because there's no doubt, Zeb, if the Democrats took over the White House, and the Senate, they would ban assault weapons overnight, and they would impeach. Well, they wouldn't have to impeach them because they wouldn't have to. But they would. The first thing they do is they ban all the so-called assault weapons, which, as you know, are simply black-colored semi-automatic rifles, right? But that's the first thing they're going to do. They would definitely ban any. They would reenact the assault weapon ban from 1994, except they would make it more sophisticated and they would close any loopholes because they've learned a lot about how gunsmiths and gun tinkerers in places like California have gotten around the so-called assault weapon bans. And I can assure you the next bill that gets passed by the federal government will account for that and will be much more difficult to get around for people in terms of the aesthetics and the tinkering of the gun. So that's what they would do overnight, Zeb, if they took over those three branches.
Mark, I've said for a long time on my program that the American public has been duped into a false sense of security. The government's going to be the all being for them and their future. And we've got to take back this country with the we the people attitude. What would you tell my audience, which is comprised of a lot of gun owners being a rural area, what would you tell them they need to do or start doing to make sure that their voices are heard?
I would almost use a metaphor or an example from the gay rights movement. I would like to say that all gun owners in the United States have to come out of the closet. And what I mean by that is we cannot, the more America sees that gun owners are law-abiding, good citizens, and they're everywhere, the better it is for us. Because right now, the media portrays gun owners as, you know how they try to portray you as essentially, portray gun owners as guys that can't speak English, they have no teeth, right? It's the stereotypes that they like to portray gun owners, right? And the reality is gun owners are lawyers, they're doctors, they're accountants, they're farmers, they're truckers, they're Uber drivers, they're nurses, they're healthcare professionals. All of these walks of life believe in the right to protection and the right to own guns. And I think that the more ordinary Americans come out and say, look, I'm a gun owner and I believe in the right to own a gun, and I don't play into the stereotype that the left tries to portray us, meaning people that can't read, can't write, knuckle dragging, the whole 9 yards, right, Zeb? What the left tries to portray us
Exactly,
as.
yeah.
I think that would be a very big step, so that the stereotypes that the left tries to perpetrate in the media and elsewhere will fail. Because I find that when people realize that I'm a gun owner and they like me and, they like to talk to me, it makes a big difference in how they perceive gun owners. And I think you do it individually. You do it with your friends. You do it with your family. You do it with colleagues. If someone disagrees with you, you invite them to the gun range. You invite them to talk about it. You invite them to meet other people that belong to the NRA. And I really think it's done at a personal level is how you do it. And you don't shy away from the fact that you're a gun owner. You don't hide in the closet. You have to come out of the closet and let people know that it is normal to be a gun owner. It is really unusual to be not a gun owner in America.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. The book Duped, where can they find it? Where is it available? Tell us about how they can obtain the copies.
Sure. The book, #Duped, How the Anti-Gun Lobby Exploits the Parkland School Shooting and How Gun Owners Can Fight Back, can be found on Amazon.com, and that's where I recommend people take a look at it. It's also in many bookstores, but obviously Amazon's right there at your keyboard, so I usually recommend that because it's so easy.
Mark, final thought on this is you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this book to write it and come up with the information. Where are we on a scale of 1 to 10 for serious issues with the liberals trying to take our guns away? On a scale of 1 not being too bad, 10 being very dangerous, where are we today?
I actually think right now, Zeb, we're doing very well if we get Brett Kavanaugh on the U.S. Supreme Court, that is a game changer, I believe, because all of a sudden, all these gun laws in the United States that have been around for so many decades, all of a sudden I think have a real chance to be struck down as unconstitutional and illegal. And I think that will start to change the world, because when you strike down gun laws in New York City and you find out that, guess what, the murder rates don't go up, they actually go down, people actually start to behave and they stop misbehaving, I actually think that will only incentivize more other cities and states to embrace gun ownership, because, Zeb, if you look historically, one of the game changers in American history in guns involved when the state of Florida enacted a concealed carry law that allowed law-abiding owners to conceal carry. That was the first state that really embraced it in the modern era in a huge way, at least in the state on the East Coast. And when that worked out really well for the state of Florida, many, many other states followed in their footsteps, and now we have almost 40 states that allow you to conceal carry without any kind of real headache or real, problems with the local law enforcement authorities like you have in places like New Jersey and New York. So if we can strike down some of these liberal gun control laws that have been around and there's no tragedies associated with them, that will allow us to really take it to the next level. So right now I'm feeling very optimistic about where guns are in America, but trust me, the left is out there, and if you give them an opportunity, they'll take away all your guns overnight.
Absolutely.
So we can never let them have that opportunity.
Mark, I wish you well with this book, #Duped, How the Anti-Gun Lobby Exploits the Parkland School Shooting and How Gun Owners Can Fight Back. I've got to get a copy. I've got to have you back on here. You're excellent and very eloquent. I appreciate all the information, and good luck with the book.
Thank you, Zeb. Anytime. Appreciate it.
All right, sir. Thank you. And the book again is called #Duped, How the Anti-Gun Lobby Exploits the Parkland School Shooting and How Gun Owners Can Fight Back, written by Mark Smith. Real quick, I want to remind you about one of our sponsors for the Cassia County School Days coming up on Thursday, and that, of course, is A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. All the clothing, all the baby furniture, all the games and the puzzles and the toys, everything. You stop into a family store, and that's A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and we thank them for being a sponsor of School Days in Cassia County. Right now, back over to Wheels at our main studio. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
And a little bit of a closed-circuit message for Wheels. If you'll turn your microphone on real quick, young man, I'd appreciate it. Are you there? Wheels, where are you? You're not listening.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
I got a favor to ask of you. I just had a change in an appointment that I cannot miss, and I might have to leave about 3-4 minutes early in order to make it, so just be prepared. I might send it over to you a little bit earlier than expected, okay?
Oh, all right. No, that's fine. No problem.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right now, there's a gentleman that's been on my program before, and he is the vice president of the Idaho Freedom Foundation, and that's Mr. Fred Birnbaum. And we're going to be talking about Medicaid. This issue has caused a lot of division and a lot of strife in the state of Idaho. Good morning, Fred. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm just wonderful on this fine morning, and I can't wait to talk to you about Medicaid expansion.
The only thing I would ask you, Fred, up front, if you're talking on a speakerphone, I need you to go and clip that off and go on a handheld because it causes too much of an echo. Would you do that for me?
Absolutely. Just did it.
Wonderful. Fred, there's a lot of discussion about this issue. It's caused, like I said a moment ago, a lot of strife. It's caused a lot of contention. Give us a thumbnail sketch of what the proponents for Medicaid expansion want, and then conversely, why there are those of us like you and I that are against it.
Well, that's a great way to frame it up, Zeb. The proponents of Medicaid expansion want to offer Medicaid, a program designed for poor children, poor pregnant women, and the disabled, and expand those benefits, which are 100% taxpayer-covered medical benefits, to able-bodied adults of low income. And these proponents would insist that that's the only way we can help this group of people. These are, again, able-bodied adults with lower incomes. They say we need to put them on another government program called Medicaid. So that's what the proponents want.
Now, as far as
a ballot initiative, or they're trying to use a ballot initiative to do that, and it's on the ballot this November.
Okay, that's what the proponents want. But then when you look at the other side of the issue and the other side of the coin, with people like you and I that are against this, what is our argument against the expansion? Go ahead and give that, if you would.
Certainly. Original purpose of Medicaid was to protect the most vulnerable in our society, and that's pregnant women who are of low income, children, and the disabled. The reason that this expansion is not a good idea is it's now going to add able-bodied, mostly childless adults to a program designed to help the most vulnerable. So the resources for the program are going to be stretched thin, because now we're going to include these adults who are going to sort of muscle their way in. That's one reason, but there are many other ones, and I'll try to tick through those quickly. The way the program is structured is it has income limits. So if you are above a certain income, you cannot get the Medicaid. And I don't want to get too technical, but it's roughly 138% of the federal poverty level for a single adult that's in the 16,000 range. So if you're someone who's working, you can say, gee, I just can lower my work level so that I keep my income below the limit, and then I'll be eligible for Medicaid. And in point of fact, in the states that have expanded Medicaid, which is 30-plus states, the enrollments on average are more than double what was projected. It changed people's behaviors because they sought this 100% taxpayer-funded medical care. And I think when you have a 2.9% unemployment rate in Idaho, the last thing you want to do is discourage work, and Medicaid expansion does that.
Well, okay, now, Fred, I'm going to ask some questions, and Wheels over at the main studio, we have a little feedback on the line. If you'd ride that gain, please. The key words that you stated a few moments ago, and I'd like to reiterate those, are able-bodied. I guess where my contention comes in is that we're always holding a carrot out to those that haven't really put forth the effort to make a better life for themselves and be on their own self-responsibility. I've been beat up all my life with 17 surgeries, and I'm on crutches, and I get a little miffed when I see people take advantage of the system on my money and your money when they want more in a giveaway program. How wrong do you think I am?
Seb, you're 100% right. I think I couldn't say it better. The fact that these people are able-bodied separates them from the disabled, the truly disabled. If you're able to work, you should work. And if you want a benefit, if you want to eat, if you want a house, the notion that the government should provide you one because you don't want to work, as opposed to you can't work, doesn't make a lot of sense, and I don't think that's something most Idahoans would agree with. So I think you've nailed it. And the notion that we're not being compassionate, I don't think makes sense, because there's a lot of research that shows one of the best things for humankind is to be productive and to be actively engaged. And if you're a young adult, there's no reason that you shouldn't be working, unless, of course, you've got medical conditions that prevent that. And if you are truly disabled, you're already covered by Medicaid. So you nailed it.
The problem with our society today is that we're too quick, and when I say we're, I'm referring to our government, we're too quick to give people the tin cup attitude of, here, the government will be the panacea, the cure-all, the give-all, but yet it has to go back to somebody. And that's where I really get upset about this issue, with some of the Democrats and the liberals right now using this as the beacon for their party. Oh, we'll give you free health care. Oh, we'll give you a free education. Fred, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody's got to dip into their billfold.
Well, that last point is a very important one, and I want to springboard off it, Zeb. The liberals are saying that we're just getting our tax money back by expanding Medicaid, that Idaho's money is going to other states. Representative Rubel said that. She's a Democrat in the House. It's not factually correct. The government is currently running a deficit. We all know that. It's close to $1 trillion. So if we expanded Medicaid, the government and D.C. politicians would just borrow more money. It would add to the $21 trillion debt. Nobody's taxes would pay for Medicaid expansion. It would actually incur more borrowing. There are a couple of other points that I think your listeners need to understand. A liberal interest group based out of D.C. called the Fairness Project spent over $500,000 to pay professional signature gatherers to put Medicaid on the ballot. You heard that right. It wouldn't even be on the ballot if it wasn't for D.C. liberal interest group money. I think it's very important that people hear that. The media has said this is a grassroots movement. Sure, there are elements of it that are, but without this D.C. money, we wouldn't even have it on the ballot.
In an editorial that you had written, and I thought you did a very nice job, it appeared in our Sunday Times News edition, you said that initiative proponents claim expansion will save Idaho taxpayers millions of dollars annually. Would you care to tell me how that could possibly be true?
Well, I'll tell you how they say it's true and why it's not true. There's a group called Milliman. They're an actuarial firm. They've done 3 reports. And in all the reports, the last 2, they show that it has a net cost to the state. Now, it's not a large one, but they show it's a net cost. What these proponents do is they try to say, well, the federal money that gets injected into the state will have a multiplier effect. And that multiplier effect, that borrowed money, is going to ultimately save us money. And the reason the average person should think that this doesn't make any sense, during the Obama administration, the U.S. government borrowed $8 to $9 trillion. That's how we now have a $21 trillion debt. And the stimulus didn't happen. The GDP growth was around 2%. It's now around 3% with Trump. So this whole notion that we can borrow our way to prosperity was debunked during the Obama administration, yet people in Idaho on the progressive side of the aisle are saying, well, let's do that with Medicaid. Let D.C. borrow money, give it to us, and we'll borrow our way to prosperity. It just doesn't make any sense.
You know, Fred, I guess I've had many, many legislators and others on this program talking about the potentiality of Medicaid expansion. Okay, let's just say this. It's going to be on the ballot. People are going to vote for it. But what are the answers? What are the answers to helping these people, those that really need help, as opposed to going with an expansion program that's basically going to be a tin cup to those that are able-bodied?
That's a great question, Zeb, and I'd give you a twofold answer. One is to repeal Obamacare, specifically the mandate that every policy have 10 essential benefits. That is what's making one of the main reasons that insurance is so expensive, making it so costly for families. You and I, as middle-aged adult men, if we go out and buy a policy, it includes maternity care. It includes mental health treatment, whether we want it or not. It'd be like saying you're going to go buy insurance on your home, and you have to get earthquake insurance whether you want it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that is driving costs. So that's one issue. The other issue, I think most people don't realize, we've done some research, we're going to publish on that shortly, but if you work, and I'm going to give you some real hard numbers, if you are a single adult male and you can earn $12,500 a year, you cross the threshold and you can get highly subsidized insurance. How highly subsidized? Your premium would be $11 a month.
Oh, my.
Now, some might argue we shouldn't be providing that big of a subsidy. That's in the current law. My argument would be, well, I'd rather provide someone who's working with a subsidy than just give them a card and say, here's your quote-unquote free insurance. You don't need to worry about the cost, the premium, or anything. So it's a twofold answer. We need to repeal elements or all of Obamacare, and we have to encourage people to actually go out and buy policies, which are very inexpensive if you're in the low-income group, which is the targeted group for Medicaid expansion.
I would like to see incentives in society today, regardless of whether this is in regards to the Medicaid expansion or not, Fred. But I would like to see incentives for people to want to go to work and use the talents that God's given them in their life, instead of sitting back on the couch and expecting the world to knock on their doorstep and say, here, we're going to provide you a better life. I'm bitter because I've had to work through all of these things in my life that have been negatives, and I'm proud of the fact that I've achieved what I've achieved. Why can't other people be forced to do the same thing and have some self-responsibility?
You summed it up beautifully, Zeb. I think I would just close or add one other point, and that is if we were in a recession or a depression, they might have a better argument. I can't speak for the Magic Valley, but my understanding is that the unemployment's very low there. But I can tell you in the Treasure Valley, there are help wanted signs everywhere. And there are now more job openings in Idaho
That's right.
than there are people unemployed. So the notion that people can't work and earn the type of things the rest of us earn, money for health insurance, food, housing, automobiles, that they have to be given that, just doesn't make sense in this economy. If we were in the Great Depression again, maybe you could make those arguments, but I don't see how you can do that when there are help wanted signs on every corner.
Well, and Fred, you know as well as I do, the same thing is here in Magic Valley with each and every one of my advertisers and sponsors on this program. Help wanted, good quality people. Well, people have got to learn to be self-reliant and have the self-propulsion, if you will, to go out and be successful. You can't just keep giving people something and expect them to not want more.
There's one final thing I think your listeners need to hear. Maybe it's not the final thing, but it's an important thing. And that is the why. Why are people pushing the Medicaid expansion with such vigor?
Right.
And the reason is the same people who are in favor of Medicaid expansion generally, and I would use President Barack Obama as one person and Dr. Epperly in Idaho as another, they actually believe in a top-down, federally run, single-payer system. By putting more people onto a government system, they're one step closer to that ultimate end goal, which is to have everybody in a government-run, top-down, Medicaid-style system. And that's why it's so important for them in Idaho to get this group of able-bodied people to make them dependent on government, because their end goal isn't simply Medicaid expansion. It is a single-payer system, and to the extent Obamacare fails, they want it to fail into a single-payer system.
You know, and
I think people need to be clear about that.
And Fred, I think you would agree with me that this is going to be a huge issue leading into the fall and November for the gubernatorial choices, and people need to really educate themselves about the facts of what it will cost to have a Medicaid expansion.
Great point, and I would encourage your listeners and everyone to ask the gubernatorial candidates what their position is on Medicaid expansion if they go to a forum or there's some sort of candidate debate, whenever they have that opportunity, because the medical establishment, big medicine, wants Medicaid expansion because they want the federal dollars. So this is a classic case of large medical providers actually favoring this expansion, and that's attractive to many political candidates. So your listeners need to understand that this isn't just a grassroots issue on either side of it. You also have insiders and special interests thinking, my gosh, let's get our hands on this federal money. And that's a shame because it's very short-sighted, but it is taking place.
Fred, in your opinion, last question this morning, but what would you tell my audience? Where are the best sources of getting the facts? I mean the hard, cold facts on what this is going to cost and what it'll do for Medicaid expansion. Where can people go and how can they check this out?
The Idaho Freedom Foundation has set up a website with a web page that's just dedicated to Medicaid expansion. So if they Google Idaho Freedom or IdahoFreedom.org and they go to our main page, we have something that's a drop-down, a menu that says Medicaid expansion facts. We have the ballot initiative, the AG's opinion, cost information, and it's laid out logically. It's not overwhelming. You can read as much or as little as you want. So we have a web page that we're devoting just to the Medicaid expansion issue at the Idaho Freedom Foundation.
Fred, I always appreciate you coming on the program. And Fred Birnbaum, the Vice President of the Idaho Freedom Foundation, thank you. And I mean that for getting on the program this morning. And I'll sure call you back in the future before November and have you back to talk about this again. Fred Birnbaum, God bless and thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Very knowledgeable man about the Medicaid expansion, and you have heard me be very negative about Medicaid expansion on this program, and I'm going to continue to be, as it will appear on the ballot this fall. We're going to have the weather forecast real quick. Oh, boy, yes, we will. And the weather's brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. They really have some delicious meats like the marinated pork ribs for only $1.99 per pound. If you're going to be barbecuing, you better get a hold of Scarrows Meats. And they've got all kinds of different barbecue packages and tri-tips, and it's just delicious. Get a hold of Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with a hot forecast.
Here's a look at your weather forecast as we enter into this new work week here on Zeb at the Ranch, and it's going to be smoky today. So if you have some upper respiratory issues, please make note of that because we have wildfires burning to the north and a big fire burning to the east. We are looking at sunny skies for today, high of 93, slightly breezy winds out of the northeast, right around 8 miles an hour. Tonight that smoke's going to stick around, partly cloudy skies with a low of 58. Tomorrow it's definitely going to be hot, mostly sunny skies. They're calling for 97. Expect temperatures of triple digits or better. We are looking at a little bit of a breeze as well out of the east, right around 8 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, again smoky, partly cloudy skies with a low of 63. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 95. By Thursday, cooling off to 93. And as we look ahead towards the weekend, looking at upper 80s, low 90s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent job as always. And don't forget the delicious meats at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. I mean, whether it's the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst, the different bacons, or, of course, the marinated pork ribs for barbecuing, it's all great. Scarrows Meats in Jerome, changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. Also want to say a big thank you and a very big thank you to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. You know, if you're going to be getting ready for a road trip before the kids go back to school, don't forget, don't leave the driveway without going into your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers to make sure that your tires are okay. And if you do need to change, they've got all the tires, all the different tread designs for your cars, pickups, SUVs, camp trailers, etc. at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I urge you to stop in and see these folks today, not only with the tires, but also with the best in brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. All of this from the true professionals that really supply the best in service. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I wasn't aware of it, but I had a meeting change to 11:30, and I've got to get on the road and gallop, and my dear friend Wheels, my future fishing buddy, is going to handle it for the next couple of minutes, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06, right here on Zeb at the Ranch, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be, and remember, the world needs more cowboys. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.